and welcome back to my channel, or just welcome if you're new here. Today's video is things that I experienced as different being in Canada. Just to be clear, this is my experience having moved to Calgary, Alberta, Canada from South Africa, and maybe even a specific part of South Africa or the South African parts that I experienced. So this is what is different for me. It may not be different for you. It may not be your experience of Canada. I'm just sharing because I really love watching this type of video, and I have really found it fun to know things that are just different. This is part one of, I'm guessing, quite a few videos as I know things that are different, and I'm going to range things from like really small, probably completely insignificant differences to like things in your house to big differences like legislative differences or how employment is approached differently, and yeah, much bigger, I guess, substantial things. So on that note, I'm going to start with a very random difference. In the plugs in our houses and in the Airbnbs and in the places that I've seen, the plugs, like wall plugs, do not have an on-off switch. And there's one in our house that is particularly interesting, so let's all quickly take a trip to the kitchen. All right, so here's a normal one. This is not the interesting one. Hi, Mufasa. You see there's no on-off switch. It's just a wall plug. And we've got this one that kind of looks like that's an on-off switch. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, plug with an on-off switch. But no, that's a light next to a plug. It does not have an on-off switch. So I guess we just unplug things when you want them to be off instead of the on-off switch. Moving on to the second difference. This week, we received a check in the mail. So there's a bonus one actually, is that it's called, well, typically referred to as mail. You receive it in the mail, where in South Africa we would say in the post. How we learned that was we told our neighbor that we went to check the post, and he sort of blankly stared at us and was like, what? And then we figured out, okay, no, we went to check the mail and the mailbox. Anyway, back to the check in the mail thing. First of all, the fact that it's a check in South Africa, as an adult, I did not receive or use checks at all. So that's a new experience. Obviously, I know that my parents did use them when I was a child, but I didn't use any checks. You can, but we didn't go bank the check. We just used an app to scan it into our bank account. But yeah, so the new thing is that it's a check. And then the other thing is that it came in the mail. It was safely delivered to us via the postal service, which is a new experience for us. Moving on to the third difference. This one is probably not new for people of many countries, but it was a new experience for us, which is self-checkout at supermarkets and shops. So when you take your goodies, you scan them yourself and you pay, and there's not a person assisting you. Of all the shops we've done this, there is usually a person that you can ask questions if you need help with anything, or there is also the option to go and have a person check out your goodies. I don't know how I feel about this. On some days I like the self-checkout, on other days I find that I would prefer there to be a person doing the checkout. Nonetheless, it's a different experience. Then still on the kind of shopping train is the next difference, which is that the price you see is not the price you're going to pay, because the price you see does not include tax. Where in South Africa, the price you see is usually inclusive of VAT. Here in Alberta, we only pay GST. In other provinces, there is additional tax that they pay. So where we live, we only have to add 5% to what we see in the shop, and that's going to give us the final price. So you start getting good at multiplying things by 5% just to understand what you're going to pay when you get to the pay point. And now we're on to number 5. In future videos, I'm only going to do 5 per video, but because this is the first one, I thought it might be fun to do 10 as an introduction. So number 5 is that you take your shoes off when you enter somebody's home. This I'm very used to because this I did when I lived in Dubai, and this was something I did for the most part in my house in South Africa, even though it's not very commonly done in South Africa. I would even sometimes take my shoes off when I went to some other people's houses in South Africa, but that's not like a common practice. I like the whole shoes off when you enter somebody's house. I like that people take their shoes off when they enter my house because We clean our own house here, and it's much easier to do when people are not trekking in the outside into your house. Then number 6, plastic money. And this, I thought that I really wouldn't care, paper or plastic money. But funny story is yesterday, Alba and I went to somewhere where I decided to pay cash. And as I was taking out the cash, she took it and like scrumpled it up and was very excited to play with it, which was fine because it was made of plastic and there was nothing that she was going to do to harm that money. Number 7. This one is hard for me to explain, but initially I noticed it. I felt like when I was learning to drive here, there's like a lot of signs like up. And I felt like there was a lot more things that I needed to be aware of visually up here when I drive. And then it snowed and I realized why. Because in South Africa, I would rely a lot on the markings on the road. You kind of know which lanes are going to turn where, which one is like a turn only lane, which one is a go straight lane, when is the stop street coming, all of that. Whereas here, when the snow comes, you can't necessarily see the road markings, which makes sense that there needs to be a whole lot more signage rather than road markings. I didn't think it would be like an adjustment, but it has been an adjustment for me to not be reliant on road markings and rather to be aware of the signage that's up. Number 8, keeping to the car theme that we've got going on here. When we purchased our car, the day we went to go pick up our car, they let us know, or we found out, that a service plan is not included in the purchase price. It's an add-on that you purchase. And I'm not saying an extended service plan. Like in South Africa, you can extend your service plan when you purchase a new vehicle. This is a new vehicle that there would be no service plan that comes with this vehicle. I don't know if this is for all vehicles and all brands and all of that. When we purchased our vehicle from a specific dealership, the service plan was not included, and that was an add-on that we paid for. Number 9 is that we didn't need to go to a home affairs or anywhere to apply for Elba's birth certificate after she was born, which was amazing. I did the application online and then we received her birth certificate by mail a couple of weeks later. That was super, super convenient. Oh, but I should probably add, like in South Africa, I think if you give birth in the hospital, then like somebody in the hospital does it. You don't go to home affairs. We had a home birth, so the midwives need to do something to kind of like approve our application, but it's all done electronically online. And I'm not sure how that works for people who birth in a hospital. I would assume that even they do their applications for birth certificates online, but I don't know. And now we are at number 10, the final one for today. I've got a few lined up for future videos, so remember to subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. The final one for today is I'm trying to keep it quite light for this first video. So this one is like extra, just so random. And I've mentioned it in some of my other videos, which is that the washer and dryer, well, firstly, they're called washer and dryers. In South Africa, I would say the washing machine and the tumble dryer, which is, a much longer word. So I'm very happy to adjust and call it the washer dryer. That was not number 10. Number 10 is that they are large. This is our washer right here, and our dryer is currently busy drying right over there. I don't have anything for scale, but so you're just gonna have to believe me that they're pretty large appliances. And with the large washer dryer, we are ending today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, like this video if you like this video.